Hi everybody, it's Dr. Y and I'm back after, 4 or 5 weeks of taking a break off of social media. I decided that I needed a break, went and celebrated my 30th anniversary, and I'm back with some information, in particular in October, because October is the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I can't think of anything more important to come back for and to film some videos for you, not only with resources on where you can go, but also give you kind of an outline as to what intimate partner or domestic violence really looks like. Now, every 20 seconds in the United States, someone is physically hurt by domestic violence or intimate partner violence. And years ago, we only really talked about women being affected by domestic violence, when really what we need to be talking about is men as well. And then also if there are children in that family circle that are also being exposed to violent incidences within the home. Because what happens when we have children in those environments is we have an increased risk of mental health problems down the road, or even substance use problems down the road. And by the way, that's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 adults. That's a huge number, and certainly since COVID, that number has gone up, okay? But for the longest time, we really just talked about women. We addressed women, which is appropriate in those situations. We didn't talk a whole lot about men, but it does happen with men. 1 in 4, it does happen with men. And then, of course, we have children, sometimes in that family environment, that are also going through this traumatic process with a growing body and brain. I'm going to film some separate videos about children with resources and what you can do and how you can talk to them. But for now, this video is about adults. Let me give you the UN's definition, the United Nations definition of domestic violence. Okay, here we go. A pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. I think what happens sometimes is we grow up in situations that we think are normal, and then we just continue those patterns of behavior, or we get into a relationship that in the beginning is great. We call that the honeymoon period, and then over time, these other manipulative behaviors start up about power, about control. It starts off gradually. Think about it like dew falling from the sky. In those scenarios, if it was that way from the beginning, you would have thrown that person out by now. But when it happens gradually, we don't even notice it in the beginning. Okay, so how does abuse show up? What does it look like? What are the categories? Let me tell you. Abuse can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological factors or threats of actions that influence another person. So I want you to understand it's not just physical. For the longest time, we thought, you have to get smacked around. That's horrific. But abuse is more than that. It's larger than that. And I think this is the message that we need to get out. Now, recognizing the signs of domestic abuse. Have you had somebody that's like, I just don't like the way you're being treated in this relationship. And it's starting to make you think about it. Or you've had a relationship like that. Thank God you've been able to get out of that relationship. And now you're looking at it going, what were the red flags that I missed? Because you know what? This is a message that generally we share with our loved ones, the people that are in our inner circle of influence. And so I want to make sure that you know all those signs, because these are things that you're going to hopefully be sharing with people that you love. Okay, here are 13 signs. 13 red flags, if you will, to ask yourself about the status of your relationship. And if you're even looking back on past relationships and you're like, I don't like the way I was treated. I knew that things were off, but I'm not really sure what to be looking for in the future. I got you covered. All right, here we go. Does your partner embarrass or make fun of you in front of family and friends? Sometimes we're just having a good time and stuff happens. People are sarcastic. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about intentional manipulation to embarrass you or to make fun of you, to see you in pain. That's why they do it, to see you in pain. Number 2, do they put down your accomplishments or not support your own growth and accomplishment? This is a big one. They don't want you getting better. They don't want you making more money. They don't want you having more prestige. They don't want you having a bigger network of people that you could reach out to. Here's another one. Do they make you feel like you are not able, you're unable to make quality decisions for yourself? They make you second guess yourself. I would say that this kind of ties into gaslighting. And I've done a video on gaslighting, so check it out. This is a big one because as they start to wear you down in terms of your self-worth and your ability to make good decisions for yourself, even you being a good person, yes, that's right, they are tearing down your self-worth in pieces. It's kind of like a puzzle. Then you start doubting yourself. You start doubting your ability to make decisions. And what this does is it exerts a level of control that keeps you in the relationship. Are they using threats and intimidation to get compliance or obedience, to make you do what they want you to do? This one makes me angry, but it happens a lot. That intimate partner violence. You know, if it doesn't work with them bullying you in one direction, then they're going to start working on threatening you or threatening other people or things that you care about. How about, do they tell you that you are nothing without them? That you can't accomplish anything? You'll never amount to anything without them? Yeah, another red flag. Do they treat you with roughness? So this could mean grabbing, pushing, pinching, shoving, or hitting you. And then they tell you you're overreacting. It's all in your head. Really? You're making such a big deal out of this. That's physical intimidation. Do they call you, text you several times, just obsessively, maybe throughout a night, or show up to make sure you are where you said you were going to be? This is a big one. This one kind of falls in that realm of stalking. And no, it's not normal. It's not normal for a partner to be calling you, texting you, chasing you, showing up where you're at, and not have this level of trust between the both of you. Again, this is about their paranoia that they're losing control. How about they use drugs or alcohol as an excuse for saying hurtful things or abusing you? Well, I was just drunk, I didn't mean it. Or I was high, I didn't know what I was doing. This is a red flag. What about blaming you for how they feel or act? Now, this one can be a form of projection, right? So we are taking our feelings and our experiences and we're blaming other people. We're letting them take the blame for that. This happens a lot in intimate partner violence. Your partner is never going to take accountability for what they did. And if they do say that they are sorry or whatever, it's a form of manipulation and control. It's to get you back into a position where you are compliant. How about pressuring you sexually for things that you aren't ready for or things that you're not comfortable doing? This is a big one. I don't care if you're in a committed relationship or a marriage relationship. It doesn't matter to me. If you say no, you're not comfortable with this sexually, that means no. Just because you're married or you're in a committed relationship doesn't mean that you have to do things sexually with your body that you don't really want to do. And yes, it is possible to be raped in a committed and marital relationship. Here's another one. Do they make you feel like there is no way out of the relationship? Oh, this is a huge tactic, folks. Have they cut you off from your family, your friends, other people that could be helpful to you? Have they done this gradually or maybe spur of the moment because they don't trust you, because you haven't earned the ability, the trust to go out and make those decisions for yourself? There's a lot of reasons that they can give for this, but anyone, I mean anyone, that tries to separate you from people that you care about, especially your family, that is a red flag. One of the things that they may do is they may tell you, well, you know what? Your family doesn't care about you anymore. You don't have any friends that love you. Go ahead. You're going to wind up on the streets. You have no way out of this relationship. In fact, you have no way to be successful in life unless you're with me. Now, there are different versions of this that men and women have been hearing for years. But basically, they want you to think that they are your only option. Do they prevent you from doing things that you want to do, like spending time with family and friends, completing your goals, going to work, hobbies, separate interests? Do they prevent you from doing that? That is not a healthy relationship. We have to have hobbies. We have to have things that make us a whole person. But if we're talking about control, they are not going to want you to do anything that's out of their purview. Okay, and here's the last one that I want you to think about. Do they try to keep you from leaving after a fight? Or do they leave you somewhere after a fight to teach you a lesson? You're not a child. You're an adult. You don't need them teaching you anything. And frankly, this is a form of control. A lot of times this doesn't happen in the beginning. It's something that happens over time. And those are some of their tactics, right? They groom you. And that, yes, I use that word, groom. Because the majority of us are not going to start out thinking that some of these things are okay. But over time, what happens is it grows and it grows to the point where we don't feel strong. Maybe we've even developed some mental health symptoms like depression or anxiety about our situation. And sometimes we just don't feel like anybody cares or we don't know where to go. So at the end of this video, I'm going to put some resources there for you, but also I'll put them in the description box so that there's a couple different places where you can find them. Please know that no one deserves to be abused. The abuse is not your fault and you're not alone. There are resources that are set up all over the United States to help you get out of these situations. And in particular, if you have children that are being subjected to this kind of abuse, you definitely need to consider what your next move is going to be.